So, as an intern, I would like to ask you, what exactly does a mentor do?
What do we do here? That's a good question. Mentoring actually is a couple different things. I think one of the big pieces is me being able to take the experiences that I've had over the last 20 or so years of my career and be able to show them the do's and don'ts, right? The wrong and the right ways of doing things. I was given an opportunity at some point in my career path to do something. I sat in these chairs, if you will, at one point, and somebody took a chance at teaching me the art, if you will, of what it's like to build a company and what it's like to chase a dream, and make it successful. So I think the biggest piece of that is being able to share that. The other aspect of it is being able to do a community sort of effort, right? Yeah. One of the biggest goals that we have here, here at Tech Wildcatters and other places actually, is bringing innovation and that startup mentality to the North Texas region, right? San Francisco's going really big, New York is going really big, so is Austin, but we know that we've got a lot of very talented people here, a lot of talented mentors and investors and stuff, and so it's fun from a mentor perspective because not only am I working with the teams that are here, but I'm also now working with people that are now even teaching me, who may be older than I am, who might have been more successful than I am, but they're even teaching me things that I've never understood as well. So
exactly.
One of the biggest challenges sometimes is just saying no. Again, it sounds really terrible, but it's just trying to put them into a place of, thinking of what can you really get done today. I mean, first week or so, as an example, you might have a couple of companies start asking you for contacts or asking you for, something that's pretty major, right? Something that for me, that the contacts that I've been blessed with over the last, decade or two, if I was to turn that over, to them, right? I mean, if they're not ready for that meeting, right, that's really going to hurt them. Because they probably won't be able to get a second or a third meeting. So I think one of the hardest things, and once you sit down and explain to them that, it's nothing personal, right? But you're not ready for that meeting yet. You're not ready to go down that route yet. Give it 2 more weeks. Give it 5 more weeks if you have to, right? But be ready for that. And so saying no to them, it can be difficult because, like I said, some of them, they do take it personally, right? And some of them don't, but it can be really hard on people. So I think one of the biggest sort of problems or things that we've had to work on is making sure that team membership is there, and then at the same time help them build a culture, if you will, that is, it mirrors who they are and how they act and what that company's going to be like. So I think when we take a look at that, I think that's probably one of the more harder things we've had to deal with them is in fixing is saying, listen, you guys are in the same sort of thing together. It's like being married, right? You guys are going to have to give a little bit of take, give a little bit of pull, and get to the end of that, situation, if you will.
If you could give one piece of advice to a startup, what would it be?
My biggest piece of advice would be to take it easy, take it slow. I think in this world of technology and the way that these guys are trying to get launched, I mean, everybody wants to be successful and they wanted to do it yesterday. Right? We find that companies that kind of methodically think this out a little bit further, that are willing to wait, if you will. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, money's nice and being successful is nice, but it's not everything, right? It goes back to the team itself and everyone being successful and everyone coming out of it, right, with some sort of feeling of accomplishment, right? So a lot of the teams, I mean, when we talk about raising money, we have to tell them, I know you want to go do that now, but let's focus on the product line. Let's focus on, how you're going to, support customers and whatnot. Let's look at what's really going to drive your company. It's not the money that's going to drive the company. We've had companies come through our program that have taken a little bit of money, and a year later, they're still going on their own because they've been successfully able to launch a business that's, it's working its way through, right? So we always kind of tell them, let's take a step back and take a deep breath. Have fun with it. Have a lot of fun with it, but don't do anything rash. Don't think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay. What is the most difficult challenge when you're mentoring the company?
Ooh, one of the biggest challenges sometimes is just saying no. Again, it sounds really terrible, but it's just trying to put them into a place of, thinking of what can you really get done today. I mean, first week or so, as an example, you might have a couple of companies start asking you for contacts or asking you for, something that's pretty major, right? Something that for me, that the contacts that I've been blessed with over the last decade or two, if I was to turn that over, to them, right? I mean, if they're not ready for that meeting, right, that's really going to hurt them. Because they probably won't be able to get a second or a third meeting. So I think one of the hardest things, and once you sit down and explain to them that, it's nothing personal, right? But you're not ready for that meeting yet. You're not ready to go down that route yet. Give it 2 more weeks. Give it 5 more weeks if you have to, right? But be ready for that. And so saying no to them, it can be difficult because, like I said, some of them, they do take it personally, right? And some of them don't, but it can be really hard on people.
What made you decide to join Tech Wildcatters as a subject matter expert?
Well, I had heard about Tech Wildcatters for the last few years. They had a great reputation in the market here. They were looking to bring in some more marketing and branding expertise, which is pretty much what I do. So that's how I got connected to it.
What are some problems that you've helped teams with?
Well, so far, a couple different areas. Again, my background is more in branding and marketing strategies. So I've sat down with several teams and really challenged them to think about what their brand represents. I think everybody has a great product, a great piece of technology that they're wanting to bring to market, but also they need to think about the bigger vision of where the company is going and things like their vision, their mission, their values, and sort of what the brand stands for is critical. So I've spent some time really, working with the teams in that area, as well as helping them with thinking through strategy, what markets to target, what's their specific point of difference within the industry, and what segments are they going to attack. And then I guess the third piece would be connections, right? So people that I know in the marketplace that could potentially be of value to some of the teams. I think hopefully that's some of what the mentors bring to bear here, as well as our knowledge, but also our for old school word Rolodex, contacts in the market, and connecting them to the teams, to people that could be a benefit to the company.
If you could give one piece of advice to a startup, what would it be?
Interesting. I saw one thing kind of hit me just recently this week. I think it was an article on LinkedIn about Richard Branson. And it said, don't wait till, essentially the message was, don't wait till everything's perfect, get started now. So I think sometimes you can spend a lot of time trying to make things perfect and you want to have a strategy and a plan set in place, but the biggest thing is to have forward inertia and drive it, show your passion for what you do and make things happen. And I guess the other one, part 2 to that question would be, I would recommend to think about the brand, think about the bigger vision for your company, because you can get caught up in sort of the short term, and obviously everyone's trying to get launched and get funding, and that's sort of critical things right in front of you, but to not take a step back and make sure you don't overlook the bigger picture and where you want to go.